All right, first question for Coach Harper, please.
Kellie, obviously the second time you faced Alabama this year, is there anything new that you're looking at with this team versus the first game of conference play?
Yeah, I think it was such a long time ago that we played Alabama. I think anytime you're playing a team twice, you have to be better the second game. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult if you won, because you want to have the same attack, you want to have the same game plan, but you have to understand they're going to change something. So we'll have to go in and try to be the best Tennessee team we can be, but also be prepared for any adjustments that we feel like they might make.
Coach, how hard is it for you and your team not to overlook Alabama with South Carolina coming up the next game?
I'll be honest with you, for me, it's pretty easy. I have so much preparation to do for Alabama that I don't have time to look ahead. And hopefully our team feels the same way. We try to stay pretty consistent with our routine and what we're talking about. We're working on us. Tomorrow we'll work on Alabama, and then hopefully that keeps them focused on the task at hand. We've done that pretty well the majority of the season, so I don't see that being an issue.
Coach, the SEC media, or the SEC segment on your team came out, and one of the clips that's going viral is sometime at halftime you were kind of getting into your team and showing your fiery side. The fans seem to really love it. Where do you feel like you developed that fiery side, and the inspiring kind of halftime locker room speeches?
I'm not I don't yell every day, all day, but I can get after it when I feel it's necessary. And they just happen to catch one of those moments. You might come in there 10 times and not catch it, but they caught it. And I think that's the competitive side of me. It's not anything I've just developed. You can go ask the first team I ever coached, and they remember those moments as well. I think it's, a coach has to know what their team needs. And if that's what the team needs, to be motivated, to push past where they're at, then I think the coach has to give it to them. And, sometimes I don't think they need that, but the good thing about this group is they respond regardless of our approach, and I think part of that is they know we love them. And when you know your coach loves you, you can allow yourself to be coached hard.
How do you know when to, push that button?
It's a feel. It's a feel, and it's, you're balancing confidence, you're balancing effort, execution, focus. And I think when when I have great attitudes, great body language, great effort, there's not a whole lot I'm going to get after you about. There's just not. Sometimes they need a little bit with the focus area, but as soon as one of those three slips, I don't handle that real well. And I guess that particular game there was a lack in focus, and so.
A lot of people kind of compare that to your former coach, Pat, and her halftime speeches. Do you feel like you learned a little bit of that from her?
Well, I saw it. Obviously, that's the model that I had as a player. She was constant and consistent with us. I think very similar. We knew she had our best interest at heart, and that's why we were allowed. We could be coached hard as well. And I think when you have that and when you've seen that, it does stick with you. But I will say this: I don't go in the locker room going, "Ooh, let me try to be Pat." That's just not going to work. I'm going to fall short there. And I have to be genuine, and I have to be me in those moments. And obviously, me has taken bits and pieces from all the coaches that I either played for or worked for in the past. And obviously, Pat's a big part of that.
And kind of to follow up on that, when you came here, you said you didn't want to be Pat, you want to be Kellie, who went from Pat. And there's obviously going to be inevitable comparisons. So how do you kind of balance it, being honored by that, but also creating your own legacy and your own identity?
I'm okay with it. I get there are going to be comparisons. First, when I saw the video clip, the first thing I thought, our fans are going to say this looks like Pat, and that's okay. I have no problem with that. I get it, and I loved her too, and we just miss her, and so you want to cling to anything that can remind you of her or that can bring back those memories. And, you know, I that's why I'm okay with that, and I understand it. And I'm not trying to live up to the comparisons. I'm not, but I'm okay with it because I do understand it's coming from a genuine place of just love from our fans.
Any additional questions for Coach?
I have one. It's not really
Well,
it's more of a fun question. Jackson, your son said, you know, Dad might be able to dunk on her, but Mom can hit 5 threes. You guys ever play against each other?
John and I do not play against each other. It is best for our marriage if we avoid competition. It's just best. We played early in our maybe dating years, and we learned real quick that we just shouldn't play. And, you know, I'd love to sit here and say, yeah, I beat him, and I think I could, but he'd probably roll his eyes and go, no, you couldn't. So, you know, but poor Jackson. So my mom played in the WNBA. I played 4 minutes in the WNBA, y'all. But my son thinks I hang the moon, so we'll go with that.
Kellie, your team has unfortunately lost the last 2 road games on Thursdays, and if I remember correctly, you said you reevaluate your process, what you do, your routine. What things have you guys kind of changed up, and how important is that kind of to break that streak?
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's just throwing a kink into your schedule, maybe trying to do something a little different. I don't think we've done anything wrong in planning our itinerary. But as a coach, you really do evaluate everything. And so we're going to look at doing our meals different on Wednesday night. And then maybe our shoot-arounds would look a little bit different than on Thursday. So maybe film is a little bit different. So we're trying to move some things around. Unfortunately, at this point, you can't overhaul it, you know, because there is a consistency piece to what we've done. Without it being like a Thursday night. You know, our pregame, our day-to-day pregame on any day looks similar. So we've just got to land on something and then go out and execute confidently.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Without giving too much away, how do you plan to slow down Alabama's top offensive threats and Brittany Davis and Jemiah Mingo?
Yeah. So, you know, one of the things that we'll do is really focus in on our defense, our half-court defense. That's been our one of our strengths, and I think you know, ball pressure is good, finding opportunities to help, but also understanding the better we can play one-on-one defense, the less people have to help, the less rotations that you have to work through, the easier it is to guard. So really getting with our team and focusing in on our one-on-one defense, it will be critical.
I know, speaking about rotations, that it's been a little bit jumbled up since the injury. What does it look like moving forward, do you think? Or do you think the rotations are going to continue to change game to game?
No, I think we're settled in right now with where we're at. I think what has been good for us is the challenge that we had was finding the right combination coming off the bench, and you know, we were able to go back to something that worked early on in the league play. And so with in particular, you've got Sarah Puckett and you've got Ray Burrell coming off the bench, and they give you a big pop. They give you a lot of power when they're coming off the bench, and that's been good for us. Those two are good enough; they could start. You know that, but where we need them and what's best for our team right now is how we're bringing them off the bench.
Lastly, if I can get you one more question. I know we don't shoot a lot of threes as a team, but moving forward, is that something that concerns you at all for facing potentially teams in the tournament that are going to be able to make and shoot a lot of threes?
Well, we can't change who we are at this point of the season, and one thing that we don't want to do is go out against a three-point shooting team and get in a three-point shooting contest. We're not going to win that. We've got to play to our strengths, and the majority of the season, our strength has been getting the ball to the paint, whether that's off the drive or off the pass, and then taking really good threes. There'll be a few games we'll take more than others, A lot of that will be situational, but so we're not going to pass them up. We're going to take really good ones, and at this point in the season, you're not gonna change your strengths.
You guys have been building these last 2 games. What do you want to see? What's that next step that you want to see to show your team is still progressing through the end of the conference play?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for us, obviously, the consistency defensively is always going to be important. The technical aspect of rebounding, so not just getting rebounds because we're bigger, getting rebounds because we're in the right position, I think is going to be important for us moving forward. And then obviously our offensive execution said all year, it's going to be something we are going to work on all year long. And so that is we're never going to check that box. We can always find ways to be better. And so that's efficiency, turnovers, taking great shots, shooting percentage, all of that.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.